Hey students, today we're going to go ahead and review for test 3, which is a proctored exam, so you'll need to schedule this with your local college campus. Now, question number 1 on the review and also on your proctored exam will be a solve the equation. You'll notice that this test is comprehensive from some of the earlier material we covered. Now, this equation is a proportion, so if you recall, you can just cross multiply. And p times 7 would be 7p, and negative 6 times 42 would be negative 252. Then to solve for p, just divide both sides by 7, and that will be a negative 36 is your solution. Here for number 2, it's not really an equation, it's an inequality, but we'll solve it the same way. So I'll start off with the distributive property and multiply that negative 2, get negative 2x plus 8. I'll bring down the 6 in front and the greater than symbol. Then I'll come across over to the right and distribute there. 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times negative 2x is negative 8x. Now I'll need to solve for x. So what I'm going to do is I think I'll go ahead and combine my 6 and 8 first. That will give me negative 2x plus 14 greater than 4 minus x. I believe I'll go ahead and subtract my 14 on both sides, just like an equation. That will give me negative 12 minus 8x, and then I need to get my x on the left. So just go ahead and add 8x. That gives me 6x greater than negative 12. I will divide by 6. X is greater than negative 2. Now that is the solution, but you're going to also be asked to graph that. So when you look at this graphically, I go over here to negative 2, and it would be an open circle because it's greater than, not greater than equal to. So I put an open circle on the negative 2, and if it's greater than, that's shaded to the right. Now this is the graph of the solution. You already have the inequality solution. And if you're asked for the interval solution, that would be parentheses negative 2 comma infinity. Number 3 is a formula problem where we will be converting a Fahrenheit temperature to a Celsius. So use the formula that's given and substitute in 77 degrees Fahrenheit for the F value. Then use your order of operations. So subtract 77 minus 32, which will give us 45. Then multiply the fraction, and if you recall, 45, the whole number is 45 over 1. So I could cross cancel, and that will just give me 5 times 5 is 25 over 1, which is the same thing as 25. Temp is Celsius 25 degrees. For question number 4, we're going to see that something is on sale. The original price is given to be $680 for an exercise machine, and it's 18% off. So we want to find 18% of the original $680. That's going to be the discount amount right here for question A. That will be 18% times 680. A good rule of thumb is to remember the word of means multiply. But remember, you have to move the decimal over in a percent. So that's really 0.18 times 680 with the decimal. And you could quickly use a calculator for that. You end up with 122.4, which in dollars and cents would be $122.40. Then that's just the discount. Then you want the exercise machine sale price, so you'll take the original price of $680 and subtract that discount, because discount implies that it's been subtracted from the original. And when you do that subtraction, you will end up with $557.60. This would be the second answer, part B. In question number 5, we're going to revisit some federal income tax problems. We have a woman which has wages of $38,500. She receives $1,200 in interest from a savings account. She contributes $3,000 to a tax-deferred retirement plan. She's entitled to a personal exemption of $3,800, and she has deductions of $7,320. So we need to find her gross income, her AGI, which is the adjusted gross income, AGI, and then we need to find her taxable income. That would be the amount that the tax rate would be applied to. Now, gross always means the total you bring in. So her wages would be $38,500 plus the interest that she earned, which is $1,200. So when I add that, I end up with $39,700. That would be the first answer for gross income. Now, we'll take that answer, $39,700, and we will subtract anything that she could take off as a tax deferment. In this case, she is giving $3,000 to a tax deferred retirement. So I can take that $3,000 off from her total money brought in, and she now has $36,700, and that is her adjusted gross income. Now, what will she really be taxed on? She gets to take off any type of deductions now. So $36,700 minus her personal exemption, minus any of her itemized deductions, and this will give us her final taxable income. So you could quickly do the math here, do the subtraction. Feel free to use a calculator as long as it's a scientific calculator. And we have $25,580, and that's the third and final answer for this question. Question 6 is going to talk about simple interest. So you will be given the simple interest formula. The interest is equal to the principal times the rate times the time. However, my time is always in years. Now, the principal here is a student that takes out a loan for $6,000. The original amount that is taken out as the loan is the principal. The rate is going to be 8%, and the time is 3 months. However, the time is not in years, so we need to calculate that as 3 over 12. Go ahead and change any months to a fraction of a year. So when we set it up in this formula for how much interest, I'll have the $6,000 times the interest rate, which is 8%, times the time in years, which would be 3 out of 12. Now, a couple of things can happen here. Move your decimal over 2 places for the 8%. So that's 0.08. Also, you could put 3 over 12 in your calculator and change that to the decimal, 0.25. Then you multiply these 3 numbers together, 6,000 times 0.08 times 0.25, and this will give you the amount of interest, which is question A, that the student would have to pay back. Now you're asked in question B the future value of the loan. The future value will be that original amount that was borrowed plus interest. So the original amount borrowed was $6,000 plus $120 in interest. So that is $6,120 that will be the total future value of that loan. Here in question 7, we're going to be using the compound interest formula. So just a reminder of that formula, A is equal to P times 1 plus R over N, all raised to the exponent N times T. Now P is my principal again, and the principal here was given to be $7,000. So I will substitute in 7,000 right there. R in the formula is the rate again. Here the rate is given to be 7%, which is 0.07. Now the value N goes right here with how the interest is compounded. N means the number of compoundings per year. Since it's quarterly, we will let N equal 4 because there are 4 quarters in a year. So in this formula, I will put the 4 in the denominator in this formula, and I will also use a 4 up here in the exponent spot. Last but not least would be the time. The time is given as 3, and that is in years, so there's no need for us to transfer that into years. It's already 3 years. Now this can be put into your calculator and simplified a bit. When I do parentheses first, I end up with 1.0175, and then the exponent 4 times 3 would be 12. Now according to the order of operations, I should do my exponent next, and then without rounding off, with this number still showing on your screen, multiply by the 7,000. So that gives me 8620.075205. Now I need to round this off to the nearest dollar and cent, so that would be $8,620.08, since I need to round up because there's a 5 next to that 7. So the money in the account would be $8,620.08 for question A. Now the interest earned here would be the answer from question A minus the original amount that was borrowed, which was $7,000. So when you subtract, you get $1,620.08. That would be the interest, which is the answer to question B. Here in question 8, we're going to go ahead and take a little trip back to logic and statements. We have 2 statements, P and Q, and we need to put these in symbolic form. It is snowing outside is statement P. The play is boring is statement Q. The symbol for and is the upside down V, which is the disjunction. So this is the correct symbolism for P and Q. In question number 9, we are given the stove is hot. That is statement P. I work hard is statement Q. This time we have or, so that will be the V like this, which is a disjunction, not a conjunction. In question 10, it is an if-then statement. If-then always has a one-sided arrow. So it could be any of the 4 choices that are given, but it has to be in a certain order. The first part of the if given was if I do not work hard. I do work hard is P. I do not work hard would be not P. Remember that wavy line called the tilde symbol stands for negation or not. So I have not P, then the one-sided arrow. Right off the bat, I can see that choices A and B will not be the answer. The last part of this statement says the job does not pay well. Well, this is related to Q, but Q says the job pays well. Since not was inserted, I will again have a negation. So this is the symbolic form, not P, then not Q. Answer choice D. In number 11, we have an if and only if statement. If and only if is always a double arrow. So right off the bat, I can eliminate answer choice A and answer choice D. If and only if requires a double-sided arrow. Now the first part of this statement says it is not time to sleep. That sounds a lot like P, except P said it is time to sleep. The only difference was the not. Again, this is negation, so I will put not P, then the if and only if statement symbol. The last part of the statement, the job does not pay well, relates to Q, but again we have not, so that would be not Q. So I have not P, if and only if, not Q, which is my answer choice B. Here we're going to fill in the truth table with the values given. To fill in the first column, not R, we will take the opposite of the truth value given for R. The first value is true, so I'll put in false. The second value is true, so I'll again put in false. The third value is false, so I'll put in true, and the last value is false, I'll put in true. So basically this column is just the opposite of what was given in column 1. Now we're going to put this all together. We'll look at the not R column and we'll look at the S column. So disregard R for this last one. Now remember, the upside down V means and, which is a conjunction. The only way to have a true here is you would have to have true, true in successive order. So I need 2 trues to yield true in the last column. So on the first row I have true, false. Well, that's not what I need, so I have to put a false. Then I have false, false. That's not what I need for true, so I have to put false again. In the third row I have true, true. Well, I can put true there. And in the last row I have false, true. That's not a double true, so I have to put false. So I can now look at my truth table and see what I have. Look at the here for question 13, we're going to find the converse, inverse, and contrapositive. Now converse just means to reverse the order. So if I started with many people are relieved, then high blood pressure is not desirable, I need high blood pressure is not desirable first, then many people are relieved. So converse is simply reversing the order. Now, for inverse, inverse keeps the order, but it is the negation. So if many people are relieved, I need if many people are not relieved. High blood pressure is not desirable. I need high blood pressure is desirable. So if I come down here for my inverse choices, I need if many people are not relieved, then high blood pressure is desirable. That would be my answer choice B. Now for the last one, contrapositive does both. It reverses the order and it takes the negation. So I can just take my answer choice B right here, which is already the negation, and I can just reverse the order. So if I put if the high blood pressure is desirable, then many people are not relieved. So if high blood pressure is desirable, many people are not relieved would be answer choice A. In question 14, we want to use De Morgan's laws. Now remember, De Morgan's law has to do with not, with and or. If the original problem has not with or, then that will change these two statements, P and Q, to not P, not Q individually, but instead of the or, we need and. And vice versa is true. If the original statement was and you use De Morgan's law, it changes it to two negated individual statements that are or. But here we start with or, so we need and. Okay, it's possibly A, it cannot be B. It could be possibly C, but it cannot be D. There's no and. So I need to have and. Not P would come in the first part, so it is not Halloween. And then not Q, goblins do not stay in to sleep. That would be answer choice A. Now in question 15, we have a Venn diagram. You just have to list out the numbers that represent set A. Set A is this first circle, and set A would include numbers 1, 6, 9, and 10. The order does not matter. In question 16, we are going to try to find the union and then the complement or the negation. So first, I want to find A union B union C. So I will combine all of these numbers together. I want 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice that set A, 1, 2, 3, 4 already includes sets 1, 2, 3 from B. And it also includes the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 from C. The only other number I need to add in there would be the 5. So this would be the set of numbers that is A union B union C. Now, if I compare this to the original set, which is called the universal set, the original set is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 6. Now, the question is, what is the complement or the opposite of A union B union C? Well, if you notice, A union B union C had all 5 of these numbers. The only number not in there is the 6. So we would say the complement or the negation is simply the value 6. Now in question 17, we get a little bit into statistics. A questionnaire was given to some students and they were asked, hey, how stressed have you been in the last week? Put it on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 is not stressed at all, but 10 is being stressed out as possible. All the responses are given over here. So you'll notice 0 to 10 is the stress level, and these would be the numbers of people who said they had a particular stress level. The question is, which stress rating describes the least number of students? So over in the right, look for the smallest number of students, and that would be stress level 2. So the first answer would be 2 out of 10. Question B says how many students responded with this rating? Well, that would be 1 student. In question 18, you're given information with a stem and leaf plot. Now remember, you take the number on the left and you pair it with each individual number on the right. So that first row indicates 2 lawyers' ages, 39 and 39. This second row would be 40, 40, 41, 41, 42, 45, 48, 49. Again, the 4 gets paired with every single number over on the right, and so on. The question is, what's the age of the oldest attorney? Well, if I jump down here to 8, that would be people in their 80s. The oldest attorney then would be 82. So it's not answer choice A, it's not answer choice C, and it's not answer choice D. Answer choice B tells me that the oldest attorney is 82 years old, and up here we see where you had 2 people who were fairly young, and the youngest attorney would be 39. In question 19, we want to find the mean for this group of items. Now, you can do that by using your calculator, and we recommend the Texas Instruments calculators because they're so easy to use. There were a couple of demo videos I posted in the module. I believe that was module 10, and it gives you the steps on how to find standard deviation, which also would give you the mean. But if you're doing this by hand, then you would add up all of these numbers. You could bring out the calculator for this part. And then you divide by how many values you have. So those were 6 numbers. And that will give me 363 divided by 6, which is 60.5. So my correct answer for mean, which is also known as the average, is answer choice B. Here in number 20, we want to find the median. Median means the number in the middle. The only way we can tell if the number in the middle is really in the middle is to put them in order from least all the way up to greatest. So I will take the smallest values, and I notice I have 3 zeros. So I will take those first. Then I have 3 ones going in numerical order. Then I have a 4, which would be the next value, then a 9, and then an 11. So that's from smallest value to largest. If you look at that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I have 4 numbers here. I have the middle number. And then I have 4 other numbers on the other side. So the middle number is the median, and that is 1. Answer choice D. Now the mode is the number that occurs most often. It's possible to have no mode if no number repeats, and it's possible to have more than one mode if you have more than one number repeating at the same amount. This problem only has one mode because one number repeated itself 3 times, and that is a 1. So my answer is D. In question 22, we want to find the standard deviation. When I described this in our teaching lecture videos, I said it may be easier to use a calculator here. I happen to have the TI 30X2S handy with me today, so I'll go ahead and just use this. I would need to first make sure that my calculator is in the statistics mode. So I would hit second and then the data key, which has stat right above it. That puts the calculator in stat mode. Then I will go through and enter my values. So I will hit data, and then I will put the number 8 because I have that. Then I have to down arrow twice using this particular calculator, and then I will type in my second data value, which is 9, and I down arrow twice because it asks for frequency. Then I would put number 10 and then down arrow twice because I had only a single 10. I have a single 11, so I type in 11, down arrow twice for frequency. And last but not least, I'll put in the 12, and then I can either down arrow or I can just push enter. Once I press enter or the data key itself, the data is saved in the memory. Now, I will type stat variable, which is a key right next to data on this particular calculator, and it tells me that I have 5 numbers. If I scroll over to the right twice, I will see the value SX, and that is my standard deviation. It's 1.5811, and I need to round that off to 1.58. In question 23, I want to find the range of this group of values. The range is going to be the highest value minus the lowest or the least value. The highest number is 28, the lowest number is 7, so the range of values would be 21. Here on question 24, you have to think about the normal distribution. A normal distribution looks like this, the bell curve, where the mean or the average is in the middle. If you move one standard deviation up or one standard deviation down, then that actually includes 68% of all the population. So 34% would be below average, 34% would be above average, giving us that 68% if we look in both directions. So my answer here is C. For this last question, we have scores on a driver's test that are normally distributed. So that means it has that little bell shape with the average mean score of 100 right in the middle. Now we want to find a score that is 3 standard deviations above the mean. So if I go 1 standard deviation, remember how we said that's 34% of the population? Well, then thinking about the 68, 95, and 99.7 rule that we studied with the normal distribution, the next standard deviation up would be 13.5%. The reason is, remember, 68% is in the middle, so that means I have 34% above and below. Then I have 95% for 2 standard deviations. Well, if you work that out, the only way to get 95% is to have 13.5 on those next couple of bars. But that's only 2 standard deviations. This question asked me for 3 standard. So I have to go up to the 3rd standard deviation. And thinking again to our normal distribution, this would be 2.35% in these 3rd standard deviations, because if you go up or below 3 standard deviations, that has to add up to be 99.7%. So we need to figure out the standard deviation is going to be 20 for each one. 3 standard deviations times 20 means 60 points above the original 100, which is a score of 160. My answer would be 160.